When I first spoke with my next guest about being on this podcast, I had a totally different topic in mind. He came highly recommended and for good reason. As we started to talk about his non-traditional path in real estate, I knew his unique story is the type of conversation I want to have on this show. And so our topic today is different career paths in real estate, not just selling homes. To enlighten us more on this subject is Mr. Styles Adams. Let's get into the episode. Styles, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Now, when most people hear real estate, they think about agents and open houses. But your career in real estate is kind of different, off a beaten path, non-traditional.
Right. Exactly.
Please tell us more about how you got started in real estate.
Yeah, so I've always had a love for homes. So it actually goes back to my childhood. They have this kind of like this massive open tour type of experience back home called Parade of Homes. I used to go with my parents on the weekends to look at these luxury home builders build these homes and showcase them, essentially. So I just remember as I was younger, just going through those homes, like amazed at how beautiful they looked. So I was like, what can I do when I get older, grow up? How can I get involved with homes? So when I got into college, my first major was architecture.
Oh,
Yeah, so I wanted to be an architect.
oh.
But then I actually started taking the courses, and then I was like, yeah, maybe not architecture. So after college, I still had the sense of love for homes. So I was thinking, like, what can I do to get, my fill of homes, right? So I ended up reaching out to one of my cousins that was actually a real estate agent. He's actually still one up there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He does very well. But he was like, you want to get involved in real estate? And I said, yeah. He was like, why don't you become my transaction coordinator? I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about it, but sure, I'll give it a shot.
So a transaction coordinator, yeah, that's one way to start a career in real estate.
That's actually how I learned how to start reading contracts and filling out contracts for agents and getting to know like the knowledge behind real estate. Then I decided I was like, okay, now I need to take a step further. So I actually gave myself the title of director of operations. But my cousin was like, if you want to be director of ops, you need to get your license.
I love the way you say I gave myself the title.
I did. It was just me and him, and I was doing a lot. So I'm like, you know what? I heard other people call themselves director of operations. I'm going to become director of operations.
There you go. There you go.
You could be director of ops, but get your license. So that's how I ended up studying and actually getting my real estate license. Little did I know, I got busy real fast. The first day I got licensed, I had my first listing.
Oh, wow.
It was actually my previous boss. So
Wow.
that kicked off my real estate career, was having a listing the very first day.
What are other categories in real estate that may not be as popular as a real estate agent?
So you can be a portfolio manager for
Okay.
a corporation. There's various real estate roles in property tech. There's different, real estate tech companies out there always hiring real estate agents. You can do tenant management. You can manage actual properties and tenants for commercial brokerages. And you can also be what's called like a real estate manager for different brands. So there's various different ways that you can utilize your real estate experience in different ways, career paths.
Correct. Now, what I love about your story is that you began as a transaction coordinator, then you got your license and became a real estate agent, but then you transitioned into other roles as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely. So like I made my own director of operations role.
Mm-hmm.
In that role, I was still doing the transaction coordinating duties, right? But I was also showing homes. I got my first listing. Then I started working with the county, actually selling their tax forfeited properties.
Okay.
Did pretty well on that, and I actually got on the radar of a prop tech company here in Atlanta, and they were very interested in interviewing me and kind of recruiting me to help with their new prop tech program where they were actually buying homes from people, right?
Okay.
So that's how I ended up here in Atlanta. They moved me down here. They made a headquarters here in Sandy Springs, and I helped, buy homes for them essentially from people in Florida. So I got real busy with that company. It's a major property tech company. I'm not going to put the name out, but it's a major prop tech company, and we just started acquiring homes, and it got real busy. So that was actually my first experience in like corporate real estate. So it was way different than just working with the first time home buyers and sellers, and it was actually working for a corporation and fulfilling their real estate duties for them.
Now, when most people think of real estate agents, they think of brokerages, but there are corporate real estate companies, right?
Right.
And so you became a part of that world. tell us, how did you like that world, and what was the difference between that and being with the broker?
So yeah, I enjoyed it. I got a lot of information. It was my very first big boy job working for a corporate, getting a salary instead of, just being completely commission based because,
That's a huge difference.
that's a huge difference. So I was more secure, more comfortable. And I wasn't necessarily out there finding my leads like we have to do or making my connections or talking to my sphere. They just handed me, the work essentially. But I enjoyed it because I learned a lot on the corporate side, and it was cool to kind of, bump shoulders with CEOs and things of that nature and kind of see how they think about real estate in the corporate sense instead of, how brokerage thinks of it. So it actually opened my mind like, okay, if I can take my real estate experience and get to the corporate world, what else can I do with my real estate experience? So it was definitely a blessing as well because that's how I got here. That I didn't have to pay to move here; they moved me here. So I'm like, okay, this is what corporations are doing, right? They see a value in you, they're investing in you.
And that is amazing. So that's the corporate side of real estate, quite different from the brokerage side, where we are out there hunting for leads and meeting new people. And some of us, we love that. But there are some folks out here that do not enjoy the sales side of real estate. So what you were doing was not necessarily the sales side. What other careers are there in real estate where sales is not involved that you can think of?
So when I think about it, the different jobs, it's portfolio management. So that's where you're managing a large portfolio for a company.
And it's a portfolio of commercial property,
commercial or home,
or residential property.
Yep. So for me, I was managing residential properties for the company. So I was like the go-to. I essentially own that home for the company. So anything that would arise, I would have to deal with.
Okay, great.
Then tenant management, tenant maintenance, which means, looking over leases or looking at, vendor contracts and all that things for the real estate company. There's a lot of different things you can do within the commercial and corporate side of real estate.
Okay. Awesome for those that are not interested on the sales side again. And then, of course, you have your title escrow people.
Yes.
And then you have asset managers.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, tell us more.
Yeah. So asset managers, pretty comparable to being a portfolio manager. But a lot of times with the asset manager role, these are companies that own real estate. So it's like franchises. If they own franchises, they're owning the real estate that's involved with that, and they have people that actually manage the assets.
And I have heard McDonald's is not really in the burger business.
They're in the real estate business.
They're in the real estate business. So there you go. Asset managers.
Well, actually, an asset manager, because they need somebody to manage all those properties that they have.
Yeah, exactly. Any other lesser known roles here for our audience members that may not be interested in doing open houses and being, your
Yeah, I would say they should look into commercial real estate as a commercial broker too. Okay. I mean, you don't necessarily do open houses, but you still have that real estate touch to it. I guess you have bigger open houses, more conferences than anything, where you're actually working with like developers and showing off their newly built shopping center, trying to sell those spaces or get those spaces leased out. So commercial real estate is actually a great way to get into a different type of real estate. If that makes sense.
Yes. And I love that you mentioned developers. That was actually one of my other questions, and we can just get right into that.
Sure.
Tell our audience a little bit more about what developers do. People hear that word but are not quite sure.
So developers, there's all types of different developers, but I'll make a more simpler explanation for them. Say I'm a developer, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to purchase land or purchase property in an area where I think there's people would want to put a shopping center or something, right? So what they do is they purchase the land, they'll build up the spaces and then lease them out to people that they can utilize them for restaurant, wellness spaces, gyms, churches, all types of things. So that's really what they do. They're actually developing the land and then leasing them out.
They're leasing them out. Perfect.
That's another source of income.
What skills do you think might be most important skills, say, on the residential side, and then a very important skill on the commercial side? Because they are different.
They are.
The time frames, the contracts, it's very, very different.
Very different. So on the residential side, my main thing was education, educating our buyers and sellers about the opportunity, or what you need to do, or what it takes, or how to buy and purchase or sell property. On the commercial side, it's more commercial. So you need to know more about the legalese of things, contracts and timelines are very, very important, just like in in residential real estate, but these timelines are way more stricter. You're working sometimes with counties, cities, and you have to sit at board meetings and go meet mayors, and you do all this to try to speak for your commercial space. So you got to know a lot more about permitting as well. So there's a lot more into the commercial, but it's beneficial. It works out.
Yeah, yeah. It takes longer for the value of it to the results, to happen than say in residential. Obviously things move a little bit faster or a lot faster in residential. Which pace do you prefer? That faster pace or the slower pace?
Preferably the slower pace. So now, just to kind of touch on where I'm at in my career currently,
Yes.
I'm in commercial real estate. I work for a company, and I'm in the wellness space, and I work with franchisees. So my job is a real estate manager, a development manager. So what I'm doing is I'm actually going and selecting sites for our wellness space to be able to install stores. Right. So the process takes probably from 9 to 18 months from store opening. I like it just because I'm kind of nerdy in that way. Like I liked the intricate steps of each step. So I'm fully involved from the execution of the lease to the build out of the property. So I like that because that's my type of thing. But people may not like that because there's many steps in actually getting to a store opening.
Right.
But I prefer it.
Okay.
I prefer the long kind of drawn out processes because I feel even more accomplished at the end.
So let's have a rundown of all the real estate careers or titles you've had, and then the ones we have not heard yet, we can talk a little bit more in depth about those. Yes. So we started as a transaction coordinator, and those are the people behind the scenes that make it happen, make sure we close on time. And then we went into...
Then I gave myself the title of Director of Operations. After that, I was just a realtor, and that's how I got the prop tech job. And then I was a real estate advisor.
Okay.
For property tech.
The real estate advisor job. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So the real estate advisor position was when I was working for the corporate real estate prop tech company. And that role, my duties were acquiring properties and advising the company on acquiring properties.
Okay. Therefore, advisor.
Right. Therefore, advising. And that was, like I mentioned before, that was my very first corporate job. So with that comes corporate experience. And unfortunately, I experienced the layoff with that company.
There we go.
Yeah. So I was trying to think of how can I make my next step now, right? How can I use my transferable skills, people call it, to get a different type of position? And that's when I got into working in the quick serve restaurant space as a franchise admin.
Franchise admin, there's another.
That's another one.
Another one. Okay, let's talk about that.
So I like to say I got that job because I knew contracts, right? So being a residential real estate agent and a corporate real estate agent, we deal with contracts. So I was able to speak to me knowing how to draft and look at contracts. So that franchise admin role involved contracts heavily. So that's why we were able to kind of merge my transferable skills to that position.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And so from there, you went to becoming from franchise
admin, I then became a franchise real estate manager.
Okay. A real estate manager. Now, that's a term we don't hear very often, a real estate manager. So
it was new to me too. It's the role I never had really came across. But the best way to kind of sum it up is it took all of my experience and made one position, right? So being a transaction coordinator and being a realtor or a real estate agent, it kind of combined them both because I was doing both. I was doing the paperwork and I was actually boots on the ground going to look at sites. And that's currently what the role I'm in now.
Okay.
So he is real estate development manager, which is the same thing.
Okay.
Yep. So that's how my career path has ended me here to where I'm at now.
Okay. Fantastic. What a path.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely off the beaten path, right?
Right.
Okay. So out of all your careers that you've had, we know architect didn't make it. But after that, which did you enjoy the most and why?
I think the real estate manager role, my current role.
Yes,
I think it's perfect. It's the perfect job role. Like I said, it's taking everything that I've learned throughout the years and putting it in one position. And I still get to interact with people. So I work with franchisees. A lot of times these are first-time franchisees. They don't know anything about commercial real estate or how to acquire sites or leases or LOIs or any of that.
Right.
So I still get that education piece too. So I get to educate the franchisees just like I used to educate my buyers and sellers. So I love that. Plus I get the corporate backing too. being a real estate manager. It's more secure in the sense of it's not commission-based, it's salary. That's important because I got to take care of my family.
That's right.
And it can just grow from there. Like it can grow from there. And there's a ton of growth, and I get to work with my favorite type of brands every day. So that's the awesome part about being a real estate manager.
Well, thank you for sharing with us all these career paths in real estate. There is a career in real estate on the investor side, investors, that I would like for our audience to know a little bit more about. I'm not sure how in depth you got into, buying and selling or flipping, as an individual or as a corporate, but tell us a little bit more about the investment side.
Oh yeah, investment side is very popular, especially right now.
Yeah.
Who wants to
Yeah.
buy a property and flip it, or buy a duplex and rent it out.
Right.
So investing in real estate is really just another way to make passive income. Right. That's what I've been taught, and that's what I hear all the time. That's another career. That's kind of another way to kind of start your own business is become a real estate investor.
Something that I heard earlier, but I didn't want to cut you off, was the fact that you were laid off from a corporate career.
Right.
And I know one of the advantages of being a realtor is that you are an independent business owner.
Yes.
So you don't have to be laid off. You can lay your own self off whenever you're tired of, doing that job. I thought that was important for people to understand. You are an independent contractor as a realtor.
So when I did get laid off, I was able to just fall back on my real estate license
There you go.
contract.
There you go.
So I was never really jobless, if you think about it.
Right.
I just had to hustle again. I had to go out there and look. In between jobs, I was still selling, and today I'm still selling residential real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a wonderful license to have.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a good license that I'm telling my daughters, definitely get your real estate license, even if you're not out there selling. It's good to know the ins and outs of real estate. What's your best advice for any audience member looking to get into real estate, either residential or commercial?
Do it. It was the best thing I ever did. Like I said, there's plenty of paths you can take if you don't want to show houses or do the traditional sense. It's worth it. It repays itself 10 times over. So if you're thinking about doing it, just do it. Just got to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you still were able to provide for your family because you had a license. Even when you were laid off from corporate, you were still an independent business owner because you have that license.
Absolutely.
And it allowed you to continue to go out there and still make money, provide for your family. I love it. So now you've been through so many different categories of, careers in real estate. What would be a learning experience that you can share, with us?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of them, but the main one was my transition from residential to corporate, right? So one thing that comes up to my brain right away when we think about, learning opportunities was, there was a learning curve coming from being a residential real estate agent to a corporate real estate agent. I was doing things like I was an independent contractor and approving and writing contracts that I think was best, but at corporate, you need to get the thumbs up from the big guys, right? So that was a learning experience of remembering that this is no longer just my business. I actually work for a company.
Right.
To report and get approval on things. That was the biggest learning curve, but it was a learning lesson. And now, obviously I know it because I was like to stick around in it. But yeah, just learning how to kind of take direction. I was always used to me giving the direction or being the direction or doing what I wanted. But, just in corporate, it was a different world for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you're smiling and you're laughing and you love it.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So
Yes.
fantastic. Thanks for joining us today and sharing these different career paths in real estate. We look forward to having you back again.
Oh yeah. Anytime.
Thank you so much for watching today's show. And remember to follow our show on this channel by subscribing below. And leave a comment to let me know your best takeaways from today's episode. Please also share this episode with a friend. I love building a community that's always learning, always growing, and always your universe for all things real estate. Until next time, I'm Stella Harris, and I'll see you soon.